What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. I'm Jackie, and my co-host Izzy
Hi.
and I are going to be doing a fun little video for you guys. It won't be very little. It's actually going to probably be really long, but that's okay. We're doing a book review today on
Oh, Onyx Storm.
Yeah. Pre-warning though, before you guys get into this video, we're telling you here, this is where it stops, because if you have not read Fourth Wing or Iron Flame or even this book, it's gonna get spoiled.
It's
So
all gonna get spoiled, guys, because we're doing a quick little recap right now
yeah.
about Fourth Wing and Iron Flame.
So stop your watching right now. Go read your books.
Put us in the watch later tab.
And come back to us. Because
Yeah.
we want to hear everything that you guys have to say about this too. So don't forget to use the comment box because we are going to be responding to absolutely everything that gets said on this video.
Everything.
Yeah. Okay, without further ado, I'm going to let Izzy get into the rehash of Fourth Wing and Iron Flame.
So to open with Iron Flame, we start with Violet Sorrengail. She is the daughter of General Lilith Sorrengail, the general stationed at Basgaia. She is a storm signet. That is super important. In this opening chapters, we see some friction between Lilith, Violet, and her older sister Mira. But it's final. Violet's going into the Rider's Quadrant. On the way, Mira gives her some tips and she crosses Parapet. Before, though, she meets Xaden Ryerson, our resident shadow wielder. It's a very tumultuous start. Violet thinks Xaden wants to kill her, and to be fair, I do think he did for a little while. Threshing came around, and Violet bonded to Terran and Andarna. And in this single action, Violet's life became tied to Xaden's. An attempt on her life became an attempt on his. And so we start the slippery slope of enemies to lovers.
Okay.
And after Threshing, we see Violet still struggle through the quadrant, but at least now Xaden doesn't want to kill her, which is great for her stress levels. And in the second half of the book, we get into war games. First war games up, Liam almost dies. And again, guys, this is a very cursory, like the big moments. But I am going to backtrack a little. As soon as Violet bonds Terran, Liam is assigned to protect her. And our sweet angel Liam, I wish he had more time.
Moving on.
Moving on. So they go throughout this entire school year at Basgaia, and Imogen starts training Violet so that her joints become stronger because she is described as someone who is very weak and whose bones easily break. This is a pivotal thing for her character, but we are going to move on so we can get to the good stuff of Onyx Storm. War games come around. By this time, Violet and Xaden are madly in love. Okay, they're like really in love. And in the first section of War Games, Liam almost dies. Almost. But Andarna slows time for Violet so that she can save him. And in the same process, she also brings a mountain down on Jack Barlow, and he dies. Screech. We think all is well until there's a second part to the War Games. And in this second part, Xaden and his little squad have to go to Athbane. There, Violet finds out that Xaden's actually been helping Boromir and that he's friends with Griffin Riders, though friends is a very, very loose term. They still fight. And they also learn that there is a Venin attack headed for Resin. So they decide to go fight at Resin. Why? Because they're dragon riders, and dragon riders are notoriously cocky. And then from there, they go fight in the battle. A few other members die of their squad, but who else dies? Liam. And at the end of that battle, Violet's injured, and they take her to the one person who can mend her, Brennan.
Mic drop. My god.
That was anticlimactic, but it needed to be done.
Yeah.
Brennan was killed by Fen Ryerson, and Lilith Sorrengail, Brennan's mother, captured Fen Ryerson and was made sure he was killed by Dragonfire. It's a very, like, full circle moment almost.
Except toxicity.
Yeah. If this was real life, I don't think I would vibe with it as much.
I don't think I'd survive.
No, I don't think so either. And then we pick up Iron Flame. In Iron Flame, Violet realizes that Brennan is alive and that she has been lied to so thoroughly for so long. Not only has Xaden lied to her, not only has Brennan lied to her, but the entire Navarian nation has been lying to everyone. Because she's like, there's no way they don't know there's venom beyond the borders. Yeah, they do know, and they don't care. They only care about themselves.
Facts. Straight facts.
It becomes so apparent in Onyx Storm. And now she has to keep the secret from her closest friends. Rhiannon, Sawyer, Riddick, Jasenia, though she does clue Jasenia in pretty quick.
Yeah.
And just everyone she doesn't want to lie to. And not only that, but she realizes that they were sent to Athmine for a reason, to root them out as traitors. They were never meant to survive that fight, but they did. But she realizes that they were set up. And by who? By General Atos, Dane's father. And she realizes that Dane has betrayed her. And this is a quote from Fourth Wing, but Violet states to Xaden, "I would know if he took my memories." And Xaden says, "No, Violence, you wouldn't."
I strongly disliked Dane.
I know. I was a Dane hater.
Oh yeah.
I hated him.
If there's a word worse than hate, it would be that. That would be my emotion towards him during the first 2 books. Because, bye. You can leave. You could find your way to the door.
He starts getting a little bit of redemption, don't get me wrong, but it's a better redemption in Onyx Storm.
I agree. I think just everybody in general treated her like a child. Like,
oh yeah,
because
definitely.
she was so young and, like, as you said, like, her body was frail and all that stuff. Like, they treated her like she was fragile.
But she isn't.
Both mind and body, so.
She is fragile, but she isn't, because will goes a long way, in my opinion.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. So after they return, right, it's a really awkward thing because Xaden's name is read off on the death roll. He's like, well, that's awkward. I'm alive. And they get a few days to situate themselves before the start of second year. In the start of second year, we get introduced to 2 major characters that I think will be important down the road. Eric Greycastle, who is also Cam, who is also King Tari's youngest son, and Sloane Mari, Liam's little sister.
Mm-hmm.
And one heartbreaking thing is that Sloane hates Violet's guts. And things are going great-ish. They do land nav, they fail. They do RSC, they get tortured. Everyday life at Basgayev.
Yeah.
Until it takes a turn, because when they arrived back to the quadrant, they had a new vice commandant, Varish, and he had it out for Violet. Just out.
I don't like this man.
No, he's terrible. But we'll get to it. In part of the book, it's about a little before halfway, they break in, and they being Xaden and the squad, second squad, Iron Squad, our favorite squad, and Jasenia, they break into King Tari's vault with the help of Eric. And she gets caught by Naolan. And what happens? She gets tortured for days.
And
it
days.
Is terrible.
And days.
It is terrible. They are breaking her and mending her and doing it all over again. And in this time, Liam comes to her and stays with her. And even if it's a figment of her imagination, I don't care.
There.
He was there. He was there. And it's okay, though. Xaden comes to save her. And in that same fell swoop, Dane delivers the killing blow to Varish. Start of a redemption arc. They start this whole revolution where they out the truth to the entire quadrant. Now, not everyone follows, but a lot of them do. And where is the new war college that they go to? Xaden Ryerson's house in Erasia. Not only do they have writers going on there out there from the quadrant, they have active writers, like lieutenants like Mira, and they have scribes, and they have healers, and they have infantry who all journey to Erasia because they don't want to live in denial anymore, and they don't want to keep perpetuating this secret. And so they go down to Erasia, and that starts the second half of the book. In this, they get a lot of new education. Violet learns that it's not all about big strikes, that sometimes you need precision. They're also taught runes. Key thing, I don't really understand runes, but I'm also not a writer, so it's fine. I do understand that they are pockets of power that you can imbue into like an item, but I can't make them, so.
To me, I think of like, what is that craft called? It's like macrame, where they do like a bunch of the string tying and the different knots and like makes them. That's what I think
Okay,
of when
wait,
I hear
actually,
a rune.
that's a good visualization because I see them like just in the air, like they're like,
Look like an airbender, like
yeah,
choom,
like
choom, choom. No, I think of like an actual like hand knotted something or other.
right, because it is knots.
Yeah.
We do know they're tierish knots.
Okay.
But yes, that's a great visualization.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thanks. I really appreciate it. And then we realize that the Venom are coming closer and closer and closer. And what does Violet need to do? She needs to activate the Orishan wards. And so she starts this terribly, terribly long process of trying to figure out how they did it. But there's a big thing. Navarre changed their history and they removed anything and everything that had to do with Venom because they didn't want the public to know. But Violet finds a way because where there is a will, there is a way. And Dane helps her in translating a lot of these old texts that they have, and they eventually figure it out, but not 100% in erasure. They are able to fire the wards, but they're failing because the Griffin Flyers can still wield. Yes, something I forgot to mention. Violet went to Poor Meal, got the Luminary, all against Zayden's wishes. And what did she have to do to get that Luminary? She had to wield. Wield against who? The Venom. Duke Takaris had a whole Venom in a chest and just spilled him out and was like, kill him. But Violet does it. They get the Luminary, but they also gain Griffin because from the Fallen Cliffsbane Academy. But all the generals go to Erasure and are like, we need your help because Melgren has this kind of precognizant ability where he can see the outcome of any battle unless there are 3 or more marked ones. Now, a marked one is someone who was a child of a Tierish rebel. Who are some prominent marked ones, you may ask? Zayden Ryerson, Garrick Tavis, Bodhi Duran, Imogen Cardulo, Liam Mari, and more.
Yeah. Good thing I only did 5 fingers.
No, I really had to think about which ones I was going to bring up. With all of these writers in Erasure, Melgren can't see what's going on over there, and he can't see the outcome of any battle with them. So their only hope is that Erasha's writers will come back and save Basgaia. And what do? They go help. They're better than I am, quite honestly. I wouldn't not help, but I'd be really mad about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and also a key thing to mention, Jack Barlow's alive. Jack Barlow's alive. Naolan mended him, which was why he was so described as so ragged tired. It's because he mended Jack.
From almost dead, like,
because he was buried underneath a mountain.
Yeah, like if that's not dead, I don't know what it is.
Literally, like what was left of him? A crumb?
No, literally, like
Yeah.
there was a drop of blood left to mend. Like, holy moly!
Jack Barlow brings down the wards. Jack Barlow is then kind of taken out. He's knocked out, but he's not dead. And there's a rush of Venom and Wyvern and just everything bad trying to kill everything good. And we see our squad fight for their lives yet again, but this time it's with the whole Iron Squad. Some unfortunate things happen, like the loss of Sawyer's leg and the loss of Lilith Sorrengail's life, but at the end of it, Violet does what needs to be done, and she is able to bring up the wards because she realizes that Indarna is a part of the Seventh Den. But Jack Barlow broke the wards, so in order to mend them, Sloane Mari had to take the life force from Lilith Sorrengail and push it into the Wardstone. And that cost General Lilith Sorrengail her life. At the end of Iron Flame, we learn that Zayden Ryerson, Shadow Wielder, love of Violet's life, has become Venom. And that's where it ends. And now we're up to Onyx Storm.
Yes, we are up to date now.
We are up to date.
Starting with chapter 1 through 10, we tried to make them as like bulky of groups as possible without making them too much to handle in one chunk. So, chapter 1 through 10. We start off with Taryn, of course, calling people names. He obviously doesn't like
Iconic.
Zayden.
He's
Because
actually the #1 supporter for them breaking up.
yeah, he definitely is. Well, him and his girl too.
Yeah, I'd agree. But we also learn that no one knows that Zayden has channeled. This is a key thing.
True.
They are keeping it under wraps. And to do that, who does she use? Imogen. Because Imogen, her signet is to like erase memory.
Yeah. Key point.
Key point there.
Let's remember
Hold
that.
on
Let's
to that.
remember
We
that.
start with a mind wipe.
So already in chapter 1 through 10, Venom are attacking already.
Inside the college. Already. No, it was so quick because they're out there, they're flying, they're doing their thing, they're hunting the Venom, and then they come in and they go to see Sawyer because Sawyer's a part of their squad and they love Sawyer.
And if you guys don't remember, Sawyer lost his leg, so he's in the healer's quadrant trying to get better, and they're just trying to be good friends and go hang out with him and make him feel better. And then the Venom are dressed as scribes.
And they have sucked the energy out of every single person in the med bay, or virtually every person.
Oh yeah. And the funny thing is, they didn't see him on patrol because they were already in the college. That's how they got in.
And it's actually quite funny because Sawyer's like, oh, I guess I'll just stay here. But we got our flyer friends helping him out.
Obviously, given the information we know about Zayden, Sigel is pissed. She doesn't want to talk to him. She doesn't want him to use her power. Like, she is over him. So, then we move into the very first spicy scene of the book. I don't really want to get into it, but if you want to read it, you get it. You get it, girl. Something to note for that, though, is that Zayden loses a little bit of his control, and he ends up using part of the power as a Venom when he's doing his thing. And he leaves like a mark on the headboard, and it was like really significant point, but you should go read it.
It's a very faint mark though, so he was able to rein it in a little bit.
Yeah.
But after that, after he kind of regains control, they head out back into the quadrant, and tensions are high, okay? They are up here. You can't even see how high they are. That's how high.
Great camera work. Oh my
Um,
goodness.
and why is that? Because there's the Navarian writers now, and there's the Eurasian writers now. Writers, above all else, hold loyalty, okay? And the two sides see it very differently. They see if you stay, you are not loyal to the people, from my understanding. That's how I perceived it. And if you went to Eurasia, you are not loyal to Navarre. And there's Griffin flyers there now. Because
Yeah.
Eurasia, like, you know, they intermingled the two war colleges because they need everyone they can get in this fight. And the Navarian writers are like, grrr, we want to kill him. It's like,
And then, on top of all the change and everyone not being happy with each other, guess who is the Duke of Tyrandor? Zayden Ryerson. Crazy. The way that was dropped so, like, in the book,
no,
just, like,
it was
so
just like,
nonchalantly.
yeah. It was like, of course he is.
I was like, oh, okay.
Literally.
Moving on.
There is quite a lot that goes on in this string of chapters because there is a lot of world building. And one of these things to get the Griffin's writers to be able to stay is that Violet alters the Navarian wards. By doing this, she did run the risk of destroying the wards altogether, but she didn't. She's a smart cookie.
Mm-hmm. And she was smart with this. She planted something so that they knew it would be her, so none of her friends will get in trouble.
Right.
And it just worked out in her favor because she was already pardoned, like, right before this happened.
Yes.
So.
And that's a key thing that they didn't even realize was that Violet did this, and that morning at 8 a.m. it was signed that all of the Eurasian writers were hereby pardoned for any actions against Navarre from that moment forward.
Yep.
And because Violet did it last night, it's pardoned.
Crazy. And then we actually get into the first war scene,
which is a result of a punishment from Dane's father.
Yeah.
Because he can't touch her, but he can and will punish her through her friends.
And then Violet and Taryn get sucked into a tornado. And Taryn's bond goes dark.
I have never felt so much fear in my life. I was reading on my Kindle and I was laying there. I was like,
I know.
No,
I think
I jumped.
I closed my book for a minute. I had to sit there in silence.
I was like, no, you can't do it to me this early.
And on top of this is the first meeting of Theophany, a Venin, who is also, we will find out later, a storm wielder. But hence the tornado. Hence the drawing in.
And she wants more than anything for Violet to join the Venin.
And she thinks she has something on it because she knows that Xaden is, and so she's like, true love forever. No.
Nope. And in this interaction, we also find out what Andarna's den is called.
Oh, yeah, we do.
We do. The Irids, you know. But
Crazy.
She drops that knowledge. We find out Taryn isn't dead. Garrick shows up very suddenly. And Theophany lets them go. She's just like, go. You'll come to me when you want to.
Crazy.
This
is moving into chapters 11 to 21 now.
Yes. And in this, we also learn, one, that everyone believed Garrick to only be a wind wielder. He's a distance wielder.
2 signets.
Crazy. And distance wielding is incredibly rare. You can take one step and go like hundreds of miles. So like it would take me like a step to get across the state.
Dude, if I could do that,
yeah,
I would never be late for a class ever again.
Honestly, same. No, I still would be because I'd be like, oh, it's 9:25.
And then you fall asleep again. Oh my gosh.
But they are let go. It's a bit jarring for them. But, you know, Taryn says we don't spread rumors about our own, which works out for Xaden because Xaden's a Venin, and if everyone knew, would not be good. You know, Violet did get her arm snapped, so Brennan does mend her, and he steeps her some Aramint tea once they get back to Basgiath. That's not allowed outside of Orisha. Remember that. Xaden says his favorite phrase ever that we cannot say in this video, but it's well the blank aware. And you get the second kiss. But Xaden doesn't want to lose control, so it's only a kiss.
Yeah.
So sad.
He's being mindful.
He's being... Okay. We also learn in this stretch of chapters that many of the writers with relics have second signets, but it's not so common that it was weird that Xaden didn't present with a second. Oh, I forgot to mention that in the recap. Xaden's an Intrinsic.
Yeah.
He can read intentions. Crazy. So we also learned that Liam had both Farsight and Ice. Garrick is Wind and Distance. Xaden is Shadow and Intention. And we also learned that Imogen has a second signet, but that's at the end of the book. We'll discuss that then.
Yes.
And then Xaden goes off to the front to fight. And what does he do? He has a slip up. And so Violet, in her state of desperation, feeds Barlow some energy and questions him. And he's like, how am I going to keep your secret now? And she's like, with Imogen.
Barlow is Venin, though.
Oh, no, we did. I really suck at these recaps.
No, it's okay. It's the first one, you know, but like...
Low expectations, guys.
Literally, low expectations. The reason that Barlow is in a cell is because he is Venin after... I don't even remember what he did.
So, from my understanding, he turned Venin before the War Games. And then when he was resurrected... I don't know if resurrected is the right word, or if it's just like...
healed or mended or whatever. I don't know. But
I don't know.
He is Venin.
So. He is Venin. He was aware that Zayden turned, but Imogen has the mind wiping signet and she's coming in clutch because Violet can question and question and question, and all Imogen has to do is tap him, and he's like, "Oh, what? What happened?"
Yeah.
Yeah, but we do learn that the higher up as a Venom you get, the harder it is to track. The initiate stage, you can track other initiates. We learn that the higher up you get in the Venom ladder, the harder it is to track. So you could be standing in a room full of Venoms that are like sages and mavens. You would never know unless you like saw their veins. You know, Riddick is here for comedic relief.
I love
But
him.
not only that. Riddick, do you think irid is short for iridescent? Gamlin strikes. And everyone is like, yes. Like, but in this same stretch, Riddick wants to be on Quest Squad. He is pushing for it. In this section, they're going to go see Jasenia because Jasenia is pulling all the information she can on Venom because now they have unfettered access. And from Violet's little stunt, she also has the Poramish. I think that's how you pronounce it. I suck at pronouncing things.
Pronunciation.
Pronunciation. Yeah, that word.
Oh my god.
Sorry guys, it's been a day.
It's okay. Yeah, it really has.
In the same stretch of chapters when he's asking Jasenia if she found anything on Venom. I'm pulling directly from the book here, guys.
Yeah.
It's highlighted. Did you find mention of the irids? Riddick asked. Jasenia blinked once, giving Riddick a look I've seen enough times to wince on his behalf as she began to sign. Yes, in the second tome I pulled. Really? His face lights up? Absolutely. She signs, her face completely deadpan. It was recorded that when the last irid hatches and bonds the cadet born of a writer and a scribe, she'll be gifted with 2 signets. You're kidding. He says excited. He signs excitedly. There's a prophecy. He turns to me. Violet, you're a... I shake my head. He's so gullible.
Yeah.
But it's funny. I honestly think we needed
gullible.
that because there's a lot of like pretty heavy stuff in this.
I agree. I think he really pulled through with all the comedic relief.
Yeah, no, Riddick carried. It's the C's that get
It's
me.
just really giving like how close of a bond they have, because like that's something that I would see in like siblings. It's like for them to do that to each other. It's really funny.
I know. Violet comes to the realization that she does need her father's research, but where is it? It's in the office of the General of Vazgaev. Who is that now?
Dane's dad.
And she realizes that they need Dane to betray his father, sneak in, and get Violet's dad's research. Because General Atos cannot be trusted. But then we get Professor Ryerson in the house. Love. However, because of code of conduct, the codex, because of the code of conduct, their relationship has to come to an end. And General Atos told everyone in leadership to make sure those two are never left alone. So they can't sneak around, they can't have a late night rendezvous because someone is always there.
I think it was also mentioned that like especially the people that didn't agree with them leaving to fight the war in the last book.
Like Aura Bindhaven.
They were ready to catch up.
She was ready to report.
Yeah. Any dirt.
And then Zayden proceeds to call Dane Atos' father and
leap hole.
Yes. And he doesn't get punished for it because he checked. It's not against the code of conduct. And after that, Dane agrees to help them. Redemption. And this is where I start really vibing with Dane.
Yeah, I agree.
And then we have the first Quest Squad meeting. It does stick because Violet and Zayden have this little mental, communication moment. And he's like, Quest Squad? And she's like, Riddick said it, and it stuck. And the members of the squad are Lieutenant Grady, or is it Captain Grady? I don't know. It's Grady from RSC who tortured them last semester. We're already off to a really strong start. We have Cadet Violet. We have Lieutenant Zayden Ryerson, Duke of Tiandor. We have Captain Henson, an air wielder. We have Lieutenant Pugh, who has Farsight. Lieutenant Foley, agrarian. Cadet Bindhaven, Also Aurora Bindhaven, who also wanted to kill the Griffin Flyers. She's a fire wielder, by the way. Great with her temperament. We've got Captain Windshire, who's the infantry liaison, and Grady wants them all to go north, but Violet wants to go towards Deverelli.
Can we also mention that this was not what she was expecting when she walked into this meeting to get her list. She brought a list that Andarna told her to write, and they didn't follow anything on it. They were like, oh, here's your scribe. Here's your scribe. Here's your squad.
Yeah, that is very important to note. Violet went into that meeting with a list of demands. And she's like, it's not my list, it's Andarna's list. And we do not control the dragons. Sorry, out of my hands. And they're like, no, you're a cadet. You don't get to choose who goes on the trip. And she was like, but it's Andarna. And they're like, no.
Yeah.
Hard pass.
Rude.
Don't worry though, it will work out. So we then get into Signet sparring class, led by Professor Ryerson. He fights each of the cadets, and he really is stressing that they need to use their signet out of the box. This is no longer this is the movement, you do that or you die. When you're sparring with Venom, you can't be predictable. So he spars with everyone. No one is able to beat him. Surprise, surprise. And then we get to Violet and Xaden's fight. Xaden uses the shadows to encompass the area completely in darkness. And to flirt.
Yeah, because they can't do it anymore in the hallways, like everyone's gonna catch them, watching. So they needed it to be pitch black.
Yeah.
You get it, I guess.
And Violet does throw a thunder strike. It's a lightning strike. Violet does throw a lightning strike, and he then leaves sparring, and walking away, he says in her mind, they're kind of fighting a little bit. She's like, why do we have to know how to kill you? And she knows. Yeah. He's got these little red rims on his eyes at times. He says it's because she is the only one capable of killing him. Guys, this is just like a really dense stretch of chapters, so bear with me. Violet did trust Dane, and it paid off. She got her dad's journal, and her dad left it password protected. She had to use her brain. It was quite the thing. And then we also get Halden's first appearance. Oh my god, I hate him.
I hate him too.
God. Oh my god, no, I can't. But it appears he still has feelings for her, because he's like, I have a lot of pull. Like, if you need something, just tell me. And she's like, and then Halden tries to touch her, but then Xaden throws him into a wall with his shadows. Yeah. Iconic. But yeah, that happened. Halden is also on Quest Squad now. Violet figures out that her father's journal is on the second Crovelin uprising, and her father's first name is Asher, and that's what I'm going to be referring to him as for the remainder of this video.
Yes.
Asher, guys. And then we go to Quest Squad. They go to Anka to retrieve a citrine stone, and unfortunately, Aura Bindhaven thinks there's venom around and murders Grady. With fire.
Like, hello? What are you doing?
It is. I can't help. I feel a little bad, but at the same time I don't, because Grady was the RSC instructor. And then in the next few seconds, Aura gets eaten by a wyvern.
I just call that karma.
Yeah, that's a lot of karma right there. Being served on a platter. And then in that moment, Mira is the one who actually is able to get to the citrine rock first. And with the citrine rock is a note from Theophany, again saying, you'll come to me. Why don't you ask the questions you want to ask? Yada, yada, yada. And when they get back, Riddick's separation anxiety becomes super clear, and he again says he needs to be on Quest Squad. Okay, sorry guys.
Camera died.
LOL. But Riddick really makes an argument for him being on Quest Squad. He says, straight from the book, I just think bad things happen when we aren't together. I support that statement.
He's like, their friendship is goals.
No, yeah, fully, yes. In the same stretch of chapters, they also have to kind of report on what happened with Quest Squad. And Markham tries to speak, and Violet snaps at him, and I love it. You
Get
don't
it,
speak,
girl.
I snap, meeting his gaze for the first time in months. Not to me. As far as I'm concerned, you have the credibility of a drunkard and the integrity of a rat. You dare complaining about missing 6 years of information on Erasure when you've hidden centuries of our continent's history from public knowledge.
Get it, girl.
Get, girl. Take it to the floor.
Show it how you roll.
Drop it low. Okay.
Drop it low. Okay,
Yes.
sorry.
No, keep going. Whole song.
No.
And then we get the new and improved Quest Squad. This is comprised of Violet Sorengale, Xaden Ryerson, Halden, unfortunately, King Takaris's now oldest son. He did have an older brother who was murdered by Xaden. Riddick is on there. Kat is on there. Her friend Traeger is on there. Is that how you say the name? Yeah, Traeger. Mira's a part of Quest Squad. So is Drake Cordella, Kat's cousin. Him and Mira, I fully support them getting together. They are the true enemies to lovers. They have been fighting on the opposite side of the war for years.
Yeah.
And now they're expected to get along. And, the first interaction, Mira's first interaction with a lot of people go strong. She yelled at her mother in the first book. Something that no one else does to Lilith Sorengale because she's scary. She punches Brennan in Iron Flame. And
she's very violent.
I know. Yeah. And Violet's called the violent one. As we were saying, her first interactions with many people are rather violent, which is funny because Violet's next name is Violence. But, upon meeting Drake Cordella, I'm just going to read this and it's going to speak for itself. I'm sure you've all read it, but this needs another moment. Drake Cordella, Mira shouts, as in the Nightwing Drift. He gives my sister a charming yet cocky smile. You've heard of me? You were instrumental in bringing the wards down in the Montserrat offensive last year. Her eyes narrow. I was, his grin expands. She knees him straight in the groin. Icon. And then, everyone's like, oh my god. And then Drake looks up, and I'm not quoting this directly. I am this part. You must be Mira Sorengale, Drake manages to say, pain etched in every line of his face. Guess you've heard of me too. She crouches down to his level. If you ever endanger my sister's life again, my blade will replace my knee. Got it? And he says, heard.
Heard.
No, that is the true enemies to lovers.
Oh my god.
I want a novella.
Yeah.
Just about what Mira and Drake did, because we'll get into it more. Also, Halden has to ride with Quest Squad in a basket. I think it's because he's a basket case. But in their journey to Deverelli, they lose their magic. And that takes us to chapters 22 through 32.
Okay. So they arrive in Corden, where Takaris is, where he has his standing offer with Violet and Xaden of just staying with him without the magic so that they can live happily ever after. And Violet contemplates it now that Xaden's Venom, or Dark Wielder, or whatever the heck you want to call it. And Xaden's actually complimenting Dane throughout this part of the book, and I think it's really funny because they're on a search for Violet's dad's books, all of his research. They cannot find any of it except the one book that they have, and they need more. So they go to this fun little bookstore
in Deverelli.
Yes, in Deverelli, and obviously it's not the same if they don't have a little fight scene. So of course they're freaking fighting everybody in the store. And the owner comes out. Her name is Narelle. And she's like, oh, you must be Asher Sorngale's daughter. And she's like, I am. I'm Violet. And she starts explaining how she understands how her dad really agreed with her being with Dane. And she describes all the traits of Dane. And Xaden gets pissed because he's like, what the fuck?
No, it's so funny because she's saying like, "Oh, his height is like all of this stuff is right, but the skin color is a little wrong. You know, you Dane Atos, he describes you almost perfectly to Xaden."
Yeah. And then Xaden's pissed. The compliments are no more.
We're back to our moody, broody boy.
And then Holden gives Cortland Xaden's dagger, even though he's supposed to give something of his own.
PSA: Cortland is kind of the ruler for Deverelli.
Yes. And, of course, Holden gets punished for it.
Because they value truth.
Yeah, and he lied and brought someone else's valued treasure. And guess who gets served on a platter to Cortland's cat? His guard.
The redhead.
Like, head, body, all just on a platter out the table for these cats. And yeah, that was a lot. And they end up using Adarna to basically as bribery. She holds onto one of the cats in her mouth just to like have collateral.
Yes.
And to try and escape out of that area.
Yes.
Of course, Xaden can't hold back his feelings and emotions. And he uses dark magic again.
To murder
Cortland?
No, everyone else.
Everyone else but Cortland.
And a few of the guards, but he kind of snaps, loses control.
Yeah.
And what happens to his eyes?
They are no longer Onyx Flex. They are amber. This book was very, very misleading. So what do you mean Onyx Storm?
Because he's
amber. I was sad that his eyes changed. I don't know why like that drove me crazy.
It drove me crazy just because, like, I mean, I've always loved this quote that, like, fall in love with someone's eyes because they never change. Like that's just a real life quote. I don't know from where, but I've heard it so many times and I really love that. Fall in love with someone's eyes, they never change, even when the rest of them, like, because you're gonna age, you're gonna change your hair, you're gonna change your clothes, like the Miley Cyrus song, Hannah Montana, you can change your hair. Yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard of that quote.
The eyes never change, and Xaden's eyes are changing because fundamentally he is changing.
Yeah, I'm just like, I think it also hit me so hard because in prior books, they also describe his eyes too with Onyx. So I was like, no, it's the end of an era. But anyway, so keep in mind, Amber. And during the Cygnus sparring, a cadet was actually caught using dark magic as well. And immediately.
It wasn't that he was caught, it's that the kid panicked.
She.
Oh, yeah, she. Yeah, sorry. I just said the kid.
I misspoke. It was a she, not a he.
Yes, but it wasn't that she was already using dark magic. It's that in that moment, she was so scared for her life because Bodhi had kept intervening and stopping before it got too far. And then he was given official orders by, I don't know if it was Atos or if it was someone else, but he got official orders to stop, to just let it play out. And she was so panicked and so scared for her life that her hand was on the ground and she just did it. And that kind of broke my heart.
Yeah, and she was not given any chances, and there's obviously no cure yet.
So she was just
they were just like, bye.
That was just so sad because, I mean, I think a big reason why there's so many people at Basgaiath turning Venin is because they don't know how to stop pushing the limits.
Well, and the structure of the Basgiath is so different now. Like it's not as structured as it used to be, so you can easily accidentally take too much because
Right, because
you
it's
don't
like,
have the
yeah,
leadership to help you with it.
right, because like there's classes that aren't being held because
Yeah,
they're like it's just a full front offensive.
yeah. And
Yeah,
then moving on from that, it like literally cut to a snippet of them going back and then going back into.
because the original deal was that between each island they would fly back and report in.
Mm-hmm.
What?
They didn't.
What? It's Quest Squad.
Violet said, "You know what? I'm gonna do my own thing. Here we go."
Yep.
And anyways, back to the story. So they end up going to the Isle of Dune. I think it was called something else in the book, but that's what I'm having it as. Isle of Dune. And they all realize that they have silver hair, just like Violet has. And it tripped everyone out. And basically, Violet, Xaden, and Dane are chosen to fight against their three best warriors. And they end up fine. They don't die or anything. But Violet ended up fighting this other, like this girl. And it ended up being the Queen of Umbriel. And so, what did they ask for a trade as an alliance? They asked for freaking dragons.
No.
Of course. We said, heck no. Get out of here.
Get out.
And that brings us to chapter 33 through 43.
These lands have no magic. None. The dragons themselves are really struggling. I mean, Terran and Sigale can't even talk to each other at this point. I think it's a miracle that Violet and Andarna can. Terran and Andarna can talk to Violet.
Yeah.
But everyone else is like radio silence.
I couldn't imagine like having that bond and then it gone.
Yeah. No, that's definitely described because there's one point in the book where Riddick is yelling at Aetrim. He's like, I don't understand you. And then Aetrim's like roaring and stuff. No, but Aetrim and Riddick's bond is so funny.
Yeah.
Prank wars. So then there's nothing for them on this isle, so they go to the next isle called Hedotus?
Yeah.
Hedotus. I read the book. She also listened to the book, so she knows the pronunciations better than me.
Well, who's to say that the audio book like pronounce it right? Honestly, if you understand it, you do you.
Yeah,
like,
because fully honestly, when I was reading, I called Theophany.
yeah, and then when they say Malik, I always read it as Malik. She did too. So like I don't really it's really how you decide to.
No, because the first time I tried to read Sigale, I was like, Yeal?
I felt that.
You know, okay, so they go to Hedotus and they find Xaden's mother, Talia. And she's married to one of the triumvirate.
Triumvirates.
Again, pronunciation. Triumvirate. And Xaden is pissed. He had always figured she'd gone off to Poromil and that she was probably struggling with all the venom, but no, she's living in peace. And he then realizes she has two sons. And he watches them because as soon as he meets his mother, he's like, no, I can't deal with this right now. And so Violet talks to Talia, and Talia invites him to dinner. And they're watching from like the balcony of wherever they're staying at. And he realizes that he has two younger brothers, and they're kind of like playing near Sigale, and they're full of wonder and amazement for her.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like it would be wholesome if the rest of the book didn't happen.
I can so see why like he's so frustrated about it because he didn't even have the opportunity to know these kids. Like I would be pissed.
Yeah. And so, you know, they go down to dinner. Violet has Andarna follow the kids secretly.
Because she's an Irid, so she can color shift. I was gonna say shape shift.
Yeah, she can shape
shift. She can color shift.
Yeah, she's a color shifter. And in this same like little stretch, she gives Aaron Mint to Talia as a gift.
Oop.
Oop. Remember, Violet knows her poisons well.
And it wasn't supposed to be taken out of, was it Arisha?
Arisha.
Yeah, it wasn't
Yeah,
supposed to be
key
taken out of
thing.
Arisha.
That's why Zayden got mad at Brennan. At this dinner, Talia's really trying to make the effort to kind of bond with her son. Zayden's not having it, rightfully so. But then they talk about contract marriages and why it is unwise for Violet and Zayden to be together. They bring up that there are so many aristocrats in one room. Kat, at this point, we forgot to mention this, but at this point, Kat's like second in line to the throne now. The Queen of Poromil was killed by Venom. So Duke Takaris is now King Takaris. Serena, her older sister, is now first in line, and Kat is second in line. So she's just been elevated quite a bit. Eric is the King Tari's youngest son. All the T's, man.
I know.
King Tari's youngest son. Zayden is now the Duke of Tiandor.
Yeah, you're right. There's a lot of T's.
There's so many T's. The triumvirate are just saying how stupid it is that they're not doing a contract marriage, even if it's just for 1 or 2 years, because they can secure 1, a strong bloodline, and 2, an heir. So then Zayden's like, yeah, draw it up. Yeah, anything less than lifetime is just unacceptable. Oh yeah, and let me look. Oh yeah, that's Sorengale with 2 R's.
No, I loved it.
No, that made me kick my feet.
Yeah. What a man. What a man.
What a man.
The commitment in that,
the commitment. But then chocolate cake is served. And Violet realizes that none of the triumvirate have some. And they're just watching them. So Violet pauses. And then she makes sure Zayden doesn't eat it. But who eats it? Garrick. And then he starts dying.
It's him going right before he starts dying. It's him going, it tastes like just like home. And I'm like,
no, yeah, because Talia used a recipe that was as similar to Tiandor's as she could. Because she really wants her son to love her. Newsflash, he doesn't.
Well, what it sounded like is she didn't have part of,
no, she didn't.
The poisoning.
This was her husband.
Yeah. Which is even worse, yeah. I think.
Yeah. So then Violet's like, oh, well, good thing I prepared for this. You see that Aramin tea right there? Steeped in milk, it's fine, but as soon as you add other stuff to it, bad things happen. And then, immediately someone starts, falling to the floor and, throwing up and stuff. It's, pretty quick, and they're
pretty violent.
Oh, my God, you poisoned us. So then Dane is sent to go get, the cure, and they're trying to find the cure for Garrick. And so her and Riddick go towards the kitchen because they're like, okay, well, whatever it is, we'll be able to find it there. And what happens? Riddick gets stabbed. And what does he do? He continues fighting, and then he pulls the blade out of him. Okay, for any of you who have never looked at medicine,
or don't have the background knowledge of medicine,
yes, it's not necessarily medicine, it's just first aid.
Yeah.
If you ever get impaled with something, do not pull it out. Because
keep it where it is.
Keep it where it is and do not move. Because you don't know what that blade nicked. You don't know if it's keeping pressure somewhere where if you remove it, you're going to bleed out. It is just better to leave it in and let the professionals handle it.
Agreed. Great advice, Izzy.
Riddick didn't do that. Riddick ripped it out. But luckily, it just nicked his freaking
sweater.
Shirt.
He was just pissed about his sweater that there were holes in it and he had to fix it.
Yeah, he doesn't like sewing. That's why he was so upset. And then he proceeds to beat the cook senseless.
Yeah. He was pissed.
Yeah, and Violet really has another moment where she's like, oh my God.
My friend is dying.
Again.
Oh my God.
Protecting me.
It was giving saying I love you without saying I love you.
Yeah, they definitely love each other. Not
in a friendship way.
Yeah, it's in a friendship way.
Yeah. As they should be.
As they should be.
Can I also note that this is really ironic that the triumvirates didn't know that they were going to get poisoned, even though their whole thing is knowledge. They were truly testing everyone else and then they got poisoned.
No,
the irony.
Real. Yeah. So then, they cure Garrick. They find it's like a blue powder that they use, and they cure Garrick, and They don't secure an alliance with Hedotos.
Hedotus.
Hedotus? Hedotus? But, it's not going to get out that they did anything because how stupid, can I say stupid?
Mhm.
How how stupid would it be if people who value wisdom above all else got outsmarted
Yeah,
by a bunch of children?
it's kind of funny.
It's very funny. And then they go to the Isle of Zinal, also called Zelina? Zelina?
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
it's Zelina.
Zelina. And when they arrive, there is an arena full of people clapping for them, praising them. Do you want to do this? I feel like
Yeah,
you
I
should do
can. I
this.
can.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is, they realized in the last, when they were in Hedotus, that they had knowledge prior to them showing up that they were on their way. They were spreading it around all of the isles, letting them know that the quest squad was going to these
Making the
isles asking
rounds.
for alliances, and Talia knew. So that's why she had all these things prepped for Xaden, which is trippy. But moving back to where we were at. So they get to the Isle of Zinal, and like Izzy said, there's a whole stadium. Like, tons of people are everywhere. Everybody's waving the dragons in. Like, they're so excited. They were expecting this. They're ready. And Trigger, this is just a key quote from Trigger. This might be my favorite Isle.
Famous last words.
Yeah. So basically, they play a game. They are to pick a chord and not complain about what Zinal has gifted them. Mira goes first. She's gifted wine. She jokes about it and is like, I need this. And then Dane gets a hand, a symbol of a hand, and then gets slapped across the face so far that his head turns.
We all
And
know we've wanted to do it.
yeah, it's just funny that it happens now and we're all like, oh, okay, we
We're Dane
vibe.
supporter,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then Garrick gets a rusty steel bucket. And Auric gets a fractured mirror. He ends up cutting his hand on it. And then Xaden gets an empty glass box the size of his foot. Like, for what? Who knows? And then Violet gets a broken compass.
Can I just say that when I read this, I immediately went to Pirates of the Caribbean.
No, for real.
Just like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Tell me why I was going. I got a job, dude.
I got a job, dude. I've got a job, dude. Yeah.
Okay. And then after Violet Riddick goes next, and he gets a card with lips on it. He gets two big fat kisses on his cheek from this huge man. And it's just so funny because that's just so Riddick. And then Kat goes next. She gets the simple gold necklace with a ruby in it.
It's a sizable ruby though.
Yeah, it's the size of her thumb. Like, goodness gracious. And then Drake gets the claw, and at that point everyone was shaking in their boots, and then it was a cute little orange kitten. And then finally Trigger pulls his card and he gets an arrow. And unfortunately, that arrow went straight through his heart. And he died before he could get back to everyone else standing there waiting for him. And all of them had to keep their composure because if they made a complaint or looked like they were complaining or pouting, that they would get in trouble. So
That just kills me because before they arrived on this isle, Traeger's Griffin is not a fast flyer compared to everyone else. And he was like both towards the back. And you know who dropped back to fly with him? Cat. And you know what Terrence said? She finally has someone worth staying back for.
Yeah, and Kat and Traeger's relationship throughout like them going through all the aisles started to grow, and like this was really the peak of it.
Yeah.
And then this happened. And I was just like, really? Really? They were just about to have like a happy little something. It's not that big of a deal. Just keep it for a minute.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. And they secured their first and only alliance. So then they take both Traeger and his griffin Scylla?
Scylla, yeah.
Scylla?
I said Scylla.
I don't know how it's pronounced. I'm just going to say his griffin. And they take them to a secluded island because Kat agrees that they should be burned because griffins like to be burned after they die.
And that Traeger wouldn't want to be separated from Scylla.
Yeah, and so they, out of respect, wanted to burn their bodies together away from any of the isles because they didn't want the ground tainted. They
or
just
like
wanted
their
it.
bones dug up.
Yes, so they wanted them to be alone. So they went to a secluded island and burned their bodies, and they kind of were reaching their wits' end with this. They were like, we can't.
How many isles are there left?
Yeah, we there's no more to really look through, and we don't know what to do. So they basically all split up to go search while Violet and her dragon stayed
and
to make sure, and Riddick
Atrum.
to stay and make sure that the bones finished burning and or like the bodies finished burning and whatever, and they weren't disrupted. And you could take this from here.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay. We found the Urids. We found them, or they found us.
Yeah.
It's really funny. Riddick and Atrum are like splashing in the water, and then Atrum and Riddick go try to dry off somewhere, and Violet's just standing there, and Darna and Taryn with her, and then they're there. They glimmer to life. They're kind of like, oh, mirage, and then they're there. And the Irids talk to everyone.
Yeah, that was trippy.
They let out like a whistle, and then everyone can hear. And so they ask Andarna about her life, and Andarna, being the proud dragon we know she is, tells them everything, and they disapprove of everything.
Yeah.
We learn that the Irids are a den of peace, and that they are actually supposed to be feather tails. Not scorpion tail, not a morning star tail, not a dagger tail, not a scorpion tail, not a club tail. I think I'm missing like 2 other tails, but they're meant to be feather tails because they are not a den that believes in war. And they left Andarna behind to see if the Empyrean would ever change their ways. And they failed.
I don't blame this on the Empyrean though.
No.
Because Andarna is her own dragon.
Yeah.
She chose everything.
No, and that like and
that's
that
what
becomes,
pissed me off when I was reading this.
They're like blaming Taryn and they're blaming Violet because they find out she went to threshing, and they're like, why were you there? You were a child.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, I make my own decisions.
Yeah.
And then they find out that like Violet channeled from her while she was still an adolescent, and they're like, I can't believe you would do that. And then Violet's like, we didn't know, like we don't know anything about Feathertails.
Yeah.
You know,
well, they also didn't know that she was adolescent either.
No,
they just thought she was a smaller dragon.
Like, yeah, that's like so. Yeah, but they disapprove of her and tell her she can never join them. That she is one of the 7th Den, but she is not like allowed to see this entirety of the 7th Den. And they say that there are like hundreds of them living in these isles, like somewhere further, but she's not allowed to see it. But then 1 dragon stays behind, or is it 3? No,
I think 1 or 2.
Yeah,
only 1 speaks.
The one that speaks, Leathan, and he is almost sympathetic to the entire situation until he sees Xaden.
Also, Violet during this time was also like, dang, that dragon that's talking right now, he looks really similar to Andarna. Really similar. Interesting. Anyways, going back to Xaden.
And Leathan blows a huff of steam, and Xaden's eyes turn red. And in this moment, Riddick finds out the truth.
No.
But Riddick forgives Violet, something Violet never would have done if he did it. She would have held that against him forever.
Yeah.
But Riddick's condition is that once they return, everyone in Second Squad knows. Not everyone, like the entirety, but like Rhiannon, Sawyer,
They're like friend group.
Jasenia.
Yeah.
Yeah, their friend group. And he also sets a line to where he can tell everyone, which Violet didn't want to set.
Yeah, she was having a hard time.
She was like, he would never hurt me. I mean, he hasn't, but
yeah.
yet. Sorry, I love you, Xaden. And then in chapter 43, we get another letter from Theophany.
I'm trying to.
Okay, Jackie's looking.
You said 43?
Yeah, chapter 43. But earlier in this episode, I misspoke because when they return from this stretch of aisles, this is when they find out that Queen Maria?
Well, I think it's
Mariah. It's Maraya.
Mariah.
They find out that Queen Mariah is dead, and it is now that Kat becomes second in line to the throne.
Yes. And this is the part where
I'm going to interject one thing.
Yeah.
They named Drake's cat Broccoli.
Oh.
And why did he name it Broccoli? To piss off Sorengale, referring to Mira. And she asked, why not Carrot? He's orange. And that's why he's named Broccoli, to piss off Sorengale.
Okay. Violet gets a letter from someone. And it reads, Violet, I do hope you had a marvelous time on your journey. Though your riot looked a little haggard when you flew over Pavis, I do wonder why you went to so much effort when I have the one thing you seek above all else. Do enjoy the time you have with your friends until our next rendezvous. Don't worry, I'm making all the arrangements. T.
Arrangements? Daphne, you shouldn't.
Yeah, but the problem was that Kat thought this was about her. Is it her uncle, Takaris?
Serena. I think she thought it was about Serena, no?
She thought it was about both.
Yeah. Family.
Yeah, she thought her family was about to die. Or was dead.
Yeah.
But that's also when she found out about the queen, so that would make sense. And that brings us to chapters 44 through 54.
In Battle Brief, we open with Battle Brief. And the professors are really stressing that we need to rip apart the tactics that the Venons use so that they can't use them again. They come to the conclusion that there's traitors within the Navarian army. But one of the tactics that the Venon used was using the storm clouds to move an entire riot of Wyvern. And Violet realizes that she too will be able to do that at some point. And the entire squad knows that Xaden's Venom now. Rhi, Sawyer, Jasenia, they're all in the know. And Violet is having nightmares. Again. And Violet adapts maneuvers. Again. And it's been 47 days since Xaden channeled at the end of March. And for that, Xaden gives Violet a black metal cuff made from the broken turret at Ryerson House. It was his birthday, but he gave her a gift.
How sweet.
How sweet, because he wants her to remember that time on the roof.
Cute.
Cutesies. And Felix goes to Navarre, to Basgaiath, to train Violet, because he doesn't think they'll have enough time to wait to train her further. And this is because Dark Wielders are surging, and the Western line is falling back. Other key thing to mention, ever since Andarna's rejection from the Seventh Den, she has been so depressed. She does not talk about anything.
No, she's silent.
She's silent. She doesn't. I feel so bad for the girl.
Her heart was broken.
Yeah, like she wanted so bad to know where she was from, and they were like, "No, you're not allowed."
Yeah.
No. That was a lot. Not good stuff. And in this stretch, because the Western line is falling back and Dark Wielders are surging at all fronts, Xaden is opening the Tirish border to the Poramish citizens willing to climb the Madaro Pass. And he and Halden get into it over this. Halden is saying this is like a direct violation of what your king has stated, and Xaden is just, I mean, they use quite colorful language in the book.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
but when it comes down to it, Halden says, "I forbid it," and Xaden goes, "I don't give a
Bleep.
yeah." And then Halden threatens to march on Tiandor if they open the border. And what does Xaden do? Xaden says he'll kill Halden and make sure Eric, however you pronounce his name, is next in line to the throne. And what does Eric say? He's on Xaden's side.
Boom.
Boom.
Even though Arik was like, I don't want any part to do with it. He's like, you know what? If Xaden does it, okay.
Yeah, Eric has been very clear. When they were at Hedotus,
Yeah.
um, he was like, he's the spare, because Aaron the spare. I don't know. I watched a lot of the monarchy drama last year. Didn't read that book though. He's like, I'll fight in this war. I'll probably die in it. Actually though, we're gonna learn something and then we're gonna get into it. But in this same chapter, Lynx, a member of the Fourth Wing, manifests shadows. And this is, it's not that it's not good, it's just that it's not great for Xaden in particular, because, I'm finding the quote right now. Violet says, "I don't understand. You are our generation's shadow wielder." Not anymore. Magic knows. Xaden says through the bond. He is the balance. Yeah. Yeah.
No.
He's slipping away.
Yeah, I didn't like hearing that for sure.
No, I hated it. What do you mean he's the balance, Xaden? What are you gonna do? And then we jump forward some time, and it has now been 66 days since Xaden last channeled. It's really giving like a.
It's giving like AA.
It is.
Like,
Except it's Venom Anonymous VA.
oh my god.
No, seriously, Best Guy
I love that
needs
our
that
brain
club.
was the same exact thing.
Yeah. And then in the following chapter, oh, JK, Xaden and Violet are fighting again, and Violet discusses visitation with a venified Xaden. It's totally hypothetical, and he gets the point. She doesn't want him to turn. But in the next chapter, guess what Sawyer does? Sawyer defies gravity, and finally, after it feels like it's maybe been 6 months at this point.
It's been almost the whole book, so
Yeah. He finally rides Sealseg. I think that's how you pronounce his name, Sealseg?
I think so too.
Yeah. He finally rides, and he gets to go with the squad and Bodhi and Dane to Erasia. I love this moment because you kind of see a very one-sided argument that Sawyer and Sealseg are having, because you can hear what Sawyer's saying.
Yeah.
You can't hear what his dragon's saying, but they needed to have that fight.
Yeah.
And then when they get to Erasia, Violet finds out that Xaden has been trying to mend the spots he has channeled from. So she gets hopeful because he hasn't given up yet. Even though we've seen that other kid channel shadows,
Yeah.
he doesn't want to give up. And what then happens? Xaden's home. And Violet is wearing the black silk that he got her. And he wanted to get to day 76 because that is double the amount of days Jack Barlow went without channeling. So if he can do double, he can do anything, right? But, close enough. They're at day 73, so he breaks celibacy.
I love how you use the word celibacy.
No, that's like he wanted to, but it was a choice, and I respect it.
Yeah. That was like one of the spicier scenes.
It was, and it also confused me.
I personally was like expecting a little more spicy in this book.
Yeah.
But I think had more than what previously was in the other two books too.
Yeah,
Like
and
I
I
feel like
think
they're all pretty like
yeah,
even.
it's a good thing to mention too that spice in these books is less than 5%. When you
Yeah.
take into consideration how many pages there are versus how
Yeah.
many pages total, it is less than 5% of the story. It is not the plot, it is just something that
A little
happens.
sprinkle of spice.
Yeah, it's a
Add a little
sprinkle.
bit of spice.
Yeah, literally. But I also think this is more of a transition into a high fantasy because we get the politics, we get more of the world building, we have like how those bonds are interacting, what's going to happen, and then there's the end of the book that we're getting to.
Mm-hmm.
But after this encounter, Violet has another nightmare, and they find out, well, not find out, but Zayden pieces two and two together, and we find out that she is a dream walker. And that this is something, regardless of her first signet being lightning wielding, she would be killed for because it is a form of intrinsic and no one can shield while they're asleep.
Can I just say, like, that second signet drop was like so crazy. It makes me want to reread the other books.
No, because Rebecca Yarros said it was so obvious. I do not see how this was obvious.
I don't either. I didn't get it at all.
Like,
But
I knew that they were having the same dreams, but
I
I
didn't even know
figured it's
that.
just because. Oh.
I didn't even get that.
I realized that when I was listening to it. I didn't get it the first read.
Okay.
I got it when I was listening to
Yeah.
it over summer. But I knew that they were having the same dreams, but I figured it was just because their fates are tied together.
Oh. Yeah. That makes sense. The Dreamwalker thing kind of caught me off guard, but in this book it was kind of easier to make sense of than like previous books for me.
But they don't get to, sit in this reveal for too long because a horde of wyvern approaches. And Eric, however you say his name, suggests that she needs to be at the Temple of Doom. There's no why, there's no rhyme or reason. He just says it. Taryn almost dies again. Okay? And in this stretch, Violet also realizes that Theophany is a storm wielder, and Theophany reveals that Violet was never the answer to Theophany. Lilith Sorengale was. However, Lilith Sorengale was never nearly as powerful as Theophany, and that's saying something because
Because
Lilith
Lilith
Sorengale,
could throw some stuff around.
she
Like,
could throw some
my
stuff around, and she was
goodness.
regarded as one of the most powerful
Yeah.
writers. So, like, for her to be outpowered by Theophany,
Crazy.
crazy. And we think everything's gonna go into the dumps, and we think everyone's gonna die, and then the wards are raised. And we find out that Leothan, one of the Irids, came all the way and fired it so that they would have some sort of protection. And then, while speaking to Andarna, they're all clued into this conversation until they aren't, Andarna leaves Violet.
I had to put my book down for this for a minute. No, like 5 minutes at least.
I had to go, because I read this after school, I had to take a shower. I had to stop what I was doing, take a shower, do my skincare, and kind of like recenter. And I don't think I picked up the book until the next day. Like I was livid. I could not. I'm still livid about it.
I think I was upset, but more of like upset like, okay, well, what's happening next? Like I can't just put it down and not know. I can't go to bed not knowing if like what happens after that. And so that was the night that you called me. So I just kept reading it because that whole day I spent
Oh,
like 8 hours listening to it.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah. But
So I think also that day though, I saw online that the next book isn't going to be published for a while. Don't get me wrong, Rebecca Yarros deserves a break.
oh
Okay,
yeah.
3 books in 2 years is like incredible, especially when you
Yeah.
consider how long these books are. I couldn't do it. But she's taking a break. She's gonna be present for her kids. Appreciate it, respect
Good
it.
for her.
Why did you leave us on this cliffhanger?
True. True. But like
But like, go her.
I respect everything you do. My
I
goodness.
respect it. Like, It's a good she sets boundaries. Everyone needs to be better at setting boundaries. Okay, so the wards are raised, and Darna leaves to go find out more about her den. And Violet is now depressed. But the Eurasian wards are working, so it's kind of a draw. And then Mira arrives, and Brennan realizes from a bracelet on her wrist, she went to go see their grandma, not from the Sorengale side, but from their father's side. Because remember, Asher Sorengale took Lilith's name. Icon.
The way that I didn't remember that.
Yeah.
That is an iconic moment, though.
That's what I was reading last night.
Dang, that's crazy.
I reread a little bit just so I could be refreshed. Then I had a crazy dream. And in this whole interaction when Brennan and Mira are fighting, Violet's taking her first shower in days. And Zayden's washing her hair for her. Mira and Brennan are fighting about how Violet is prone to becoming venom now. And Zayden rushes out and tells Mira she's not the risk. He already is. And Mira leaves. They have some really they have words, but then she leaves. And it's all out of anger.
Yeah.
And now we're up to 55 through 65. And this last portion of the book goes to Miss Jackie.
Oh my god, okay. Violet is in Zayden's dream again, but this time she realizes that she can control the dream. She can control what Zayden's doing within the dream. And she actually gets caught by the Dark Wielder. He literally calls her out as a dreamwalker.
It's so nice of you to join us, Lightning Wielder. He tilts his head. Or should I call you Dreamwalker?
Yeah. Crazy. But they're rudely interrupted.
Rudely?
Rudely. Well, they were scared. Because Garrett comes flying in the door with a message for Violet and Zayden from Theophany. And basically, she's like, y'all got 5 hours to bring Bodhi, Violet, or she dies.
But the message doesn't actually say Bodhi. It says they've reached the walls of Dreyfus, yada, yada, yada. Yeah. Oh, it doesn't actually... I didn't misspeak. Garrick thinks it means Bodhi because Bodhi and Zayden always refer to each other as brothers.
Yes.
The note says, your brother and Violet. What did someone refer to Zayden as at the beginning of the book? What did Jack Barlow say? Brother.
Crazy.
But can I just say, my heart dropped when they took Mira.
Yeah, but you said you knew.
No, I suspected. I thought Mira might die in this book, but reading it, I was in full denial and delusion, and it paid off.
Yeah. Well, newsflash. The she they were talking about who dies was Mira. And her dragon. I think it's Tiny.
I think it's Tiny. I say Tiny. Too.
But obviously Mira doesn't end up dying because she's still significant to the book. And Brendan ends up saving her with the help of Sloane.
And Dane.
Yeah. Dane is like, take my power.
No, he's like, eyes up here. And I was like, oh. And she's like, Sloane says, I'm gonna hurt you. And he said, gods, don't I know it? And I was like, is that like, gods, don't I know? And he's looking at her with adoration, or is he like being a sarcastic, like, gods, don't I know it? Because Sloane and Dane throughout this book, there's a portion of this book where Sloane like slaps Dane in the face, and he just takes it for a second before he like stops her. Also enemies to lovers.
Yeah. Question mark?
Question mark?
Anyways, so they were able to save her. Sloane did great. And Taryn takes Tiny back to safety and leaves Violet on the field to defend herself, which is not good. And shocker, Theophany finds her. Yeah. Can't use any magic because Taryn's too far away to channel. So they basically just talk crap about each other.
Yeah, they're really just throwing the jabs there.
Yeah.
But then there's this weird thing where we get the point of view of multiple different people instead of just Zayden.
Mm-hmm. Did you want to
No, I
start on
don't.
that? Okay.
No, I was so stressed out during this stretch of chapters, and we will discuss why after we're done.
Honestly, I think you should at least take the re part because I was a little confused with it.
Okay. So basically, Theophany threatens, like, she's like, oh, don't you want to go help your friends? And Violet looks over towards where Ree and Second Squad is, and she's like, it doesn't matter because she is the best of us. And in this case, she refers to Ree. And we flash over. The next chapter is from entirely Rhiannon's point of view. And she's just holding the line, but she keeps looking towards where Violet is. It's like a great besties moment. And she's like, she wants to help Violet, but she's like, no, we got to do this. And they hold the line. And it's just a great case of communication. I love communicating. So when they're talking to each other and they're just like kicking butt, made me so happy. And Sawyer is also kicking butt with the one foot he has left. Like he like Ree looks over and she sees Sawyer like just taking out wyvern after wyvern, finding Sawyer finishing a kill hundreds of feet below us. So, I also think this is just a great moment for Sawyer because he didn't know if he was ever going to fight again and be a writer. He thought he was going to retire at the ripe age of like 21.
I would have been so happy if I retired at that age
No,
too.
same.
Back to Violet's story. She breaks Theophany's nose.
Theophany is pissed and she goes, it's never going to go back to how it was.
Like, talk about
vanity?
I don't know where I was going.
I don't know. Talk about priorities, man.
No, that's what it was. Talk about priorities. And so Violet's immediate response is to just start booking it back to safety. She's sprinting and she's like, oh my god, like her body obviously hurts with running that fast and slipping and all that stuff. And guess who swoops out of the sky to save her? Segeo. And she was kind of confused by it, but then she gets tossed back in the air by Segeo and free falls for a hot minute, and then Terrence swoops and picks her up. And they realize that they're at a disadvantage in the war, and Violet's just like releases energy. Like, holy moly. She's giving like 10 plus bolts at once, like striking out Wyvern like out of the sky like nobody's business, man. She was like Taryn was like 8, 7, 2, 5 as she was striking. Like, holy moly, girl. That was a lot.
That was.
Yeah. And she almost reaches burnout, and Taryn's like, girl, drink water. Go get some water.
And then we cut to Imogen's chapter. I did not know where this was going, but I already knew I didn't like it. Because why would I ever want to be in Imogen's mind? Like, she's so straightforward. You know what she thinks. You know who she cares about. But this hurt, man, because you really see how human Imogen is. Because she puts on such a cold exterior. Because, I mean, in the Tyrus Rebellion, both her mom and her sister were killed. So she really guards those emotions.
Yeah.
Like, So she's already stressing about Garrick because she knows he's a distance wielder and he's been making jumps left and right, like all over it. And she knows he's like so tired. And she's also been in love with him forever. But in this thing, she jumps down, she saves Dane, and then she's headed towards a turret, I believe. And there's this family saying they're down there. And she's like, okay. And she goes. And so she sees Quinn using her signet, astral projection. And she's surrounded the venom, and the venom's like slashing around, but he doesn't know which one's real. And so Imogen throws a dagger at the venom at the same time that Quinn lunges for the venom. Imogen's dagger hits home and kills the venom, but the venom also stabs Quinn in the chest. And there is no mender in sight. And okay, this hurt so much. It was unnecessary. It was like, that was the first time I had like sobbed in this book.
I'm not a crier, in the books for some reason. But this, I was like,
I'm an emotional reader. I cry. I cry quite a bit.
I was upset about this
I
for sure.
was um yeah, so no, she shouts. And all Quinn is worried about if the family made it. They did, but that's the first thing she asks Imogen. And Imogen is just like, we can fix it. You know, you just need to stay with me. And Quinn knows the cold truth. She is dying. There is nothing you can do for her. And even she says there are no menders here and no runes for this. This is one thing you can't fix, Jen. This is the first time we've ever heard Imogen have a nickname. And so it really broke me. Imogen is such a strong character. Like, if she's crying, you know that's like
Yeah.
quite quite the feat. And she says, Quinn, her voice my voice shatters. Don't go. Don't leave me. And then no, this sucks. I'm not crying on the internet.
It's okay, I've done it.
Have you really?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm fine. I'm not crying. Um and then Imogen says, you're my best friend and I love you. Please stay. This is not how she ends, not in some dark stairwell in Drathis. It can't be. I'm the one who's supposed to fall. She's supposed to live forever. You're mine and I love you too. Her smile slips and then another tear falls. I'm scared. I don't want to be scared. And like this as I said before, I see books in 4K. This sucked.
Yeah. I tried to block my mind from that.
Yeah. And then Imogen says, don't be scared. My mom will take care of you and Katrina too. She's a little bossy, but she'll be thrilled to have another little sister. I talk about you all the time. They'll know who you are. Don't be scared. They'll know me. I nod. They'll know you and they'll love you. It's impossible not to love you. And again, this is just like a platonic love, but it just hit hard.
Yeah.
And then her final words are, we made it a good one. And that didn't hurt until we got the flashback. Like 5 lines later. And this is how their beautiful, beautiful friendship starts. Hi, I'm Quinn Hollis. I've decided we should be friends. You do realize we're about to cross the walkway of death. Well, then, it might be a short friendship, but we'll make it a good one. At this point, Garrick finds them and he understands that Imogen is not going to leave Quinn, but so he picks up Gwen, he takes her out, and they're back in the war. And Imogen realizes there's no time for feelings right now. They got to lock in. They have to be present, otherwise they too are going to die. And so she just looks towards the sky and she's like, Sorengale better take their leader all the way the F out, or this will have all been for nothing.
And then this stretch of chapters kept jumping back and forth from Violet to every other person. And this jumps back to Violet again. And Theophany starts yet another freaking tornado just to lure Violet out to where she's at to get the better vantage point, you know? And while Violet is trying to strike Theophany, hail falls from the sky because of her and breaks her conduit, which she's only ever like known to use for channeling her power because it's difficult for her. And Taryn and Sigale end up getting covered in net and completely fall to the ground. And Taryn is okay. He's struggling to get out of the net, but she ended up using a rune to cut the net off of him. Violet opens a package that she got from Auric earlier. And it reads, for when you lose yours, strike in the dark, Violet. And this is where her brain was kind of like, how did he know about this? Like,
I had thought so earlier on. There were just certain things he'd say that was like,
I didn't think about it at all. And so then she opens a package and it's a dagger carved from the temple marble of the Temple of Dune. And I don't know if we mentioned this earlier, but that is the Dune where they all have the silver hair similar to Violet, and Theophany has the same silver hair. So
what they think happened was that when Asher Sorengale went to go write these pieces on the Isle Kingdoms, Violet was taken with him, and she was, is the word declared? Or she was dedicated, that's the word.
yeah.
She was dedicated to Dune, and the priestess mentioned that she has many paths in which she can take, and that it is her fate is still unwritten.
Yes. And that is when Violet striked Theophany with the dagger, killed Theophany. And this is when they realize that Eric is precog as his signet. And Darna is back for a second to help with Theophany and then is gone.
Mm-hmm. But then Violet goes dark. She passes out. And then we get to Xaden. We find out who the traitor was. It was Panchak. Oh my god. I knew there was a traitor. I didn't think it would be that close to them. And that's kind of ignorant of me. I should have known. But where we pick up with Xaden, they're gonna try to kill Sigil. And is it the mage? Yeah, the mage. Berwyn stabs Panchak's dragon, and the dragon desiccates. And Sigil is next. And so Sigil and Xaden are having this entire conversation where she's like, do not lose yourself. You've come this far. Don't give in to this for me. And Xaden's like, there's no other way, because in Iron Flame, when he reaches for that power, they're still arguing. And she goes, I chose you. And Xaden says, but she chose me too. So basically, Xaden's fatal flaw is just his sense of loyalty. It really is, because once he realizes that Sigil is going to be the one to be like desiccated next, he reaches to the ground and just pulls all the energy he can. And darkness just encompasses the entire battlefield.
It sounds like this was like the final straw.
It was, because he, at like, the way he describes it, he's like, the shadows are thick as tar, but his soul is departing from him, like he's like pieces of ash from a fire, and he is becoming ice.
Oh, and that's crazy because Violet was explaining the bond that they have as ice, like steel ice.
Yeah. So as he's channeling, more and more of his soul is kind of flaking away, and he is just being iced over. Like, there is no more Xaden. He's just becoming a shell of what he was. And Violet croaks, I love you. And Violet's voice cracks the cold. And he clings to that piece, because she is warmth and light and air and love. And he's clinging to that feeling because that's all there is left. Like, that single thread that he grasped is all that's going to be left in the next book, because of how far he went. And it's only because that she speaks when she does that he's able to rein in and pull back. But it's like, it's really hard to read. And then he turns to Sigil, who is able to, get up from the net, and he goes, will you forsake me now? And Sigil says, well, what is there left of you to forsake? Because he's pretty gone. And then Xaden goes, you tell me. Sigil goes, you cannot mean to. And then Xaden says, you saw what happened. It is the only way. She glances over her shoulder and says, do you think she'll help? She loves me. Taryn does not. And you have not looked in the mirror yet. The red veins branching from your eyes look like her lightning. She'll help. She promised. Even if she agrees, no one will. Someone owes me a favor. He'll never let you near her, especially while she lies in a vulnerable state. Is she hurt? Yes, but she will survive. They have completed the wards, but they extend no farther than Dreyfus. Persuade Taryn. We will ask, and her decision will determine our fate. And that is the last we see of Xaden in this book.
I don't know why that's not what I expected, like him to just disappear. But
No, I fully thought there was more to the book after this next chapter.
I thought so too. And now we move into the final chapter, chapter 66. And Violet comes to consciousness at around 3 in the morning. And Andarna has her back, but Taryn is out cold.
And they say he needs a cycle to recover. How long is a cycle? Is that just the sun cycle around the earth? Or like the earth revolving in one cycle? Like,
That's
is it just a
long.
day? No, like the spinning. Not around the sun, the spinning of itself, because, 24 hours is a day.
I was like, like 365 days in a year. I was like, dang, that's a long sleep. Anyways.
I need to sleep that much.
Everyone knows Xaden is Venom now. You can give the details.
Okay, so everyone is aware that Xaden is one of the Venom. 4 riders are missing, including Garrick, and 6 eggs are missing from the hatching ground. Xaden is also missing, and she has a rock on her hand, an emerald ring.
Yeah.
And it matches one of the missing stones from the blade of Erasia.
So she's married?
I don't know. Brennan picks up this piece of paper in an envelope addressed to Violet. On one side is a marriage certificate stating, and this is stated in the book because I've seen some people say like, oh, is she married to Bodhi? No, he's not. Gravity bends. To Xaden, Brennan nods. It is very clearly stated that Xaden is who she's married to. I don't want to hear this. She's married to Bodhi. She's married to Xaden. Come on.
I didn't even think about Bodhi. I always didn't.
Well, no, because I saw like on TikTok that some people thought it was Bodhi. But on the back of that certificate, it says, "Don't look for me. It's yours now." I think it's in reference to Tiendor.
I think so too.
And then what does she do? What did you do? My head snaps towards Imogen, and a deep sense of foreboding takes root in my chest. She slowly lifts her gaze to mine. What you asked me to. And that's it.
Yeah.
I thought there was more. I thought we were getting like at least another chapter.
Yeah. That threw me so off. That cliffhanger.
No, what do you mean? Okay, there is footage of me finishing this book because I'm a fast reader and not everyone was at that part. So I just filmed it because I couldn't not film it.
Izzy watched me read it. I think I stared at the wall like, what?
Yeah. But Violet was also missing for 12 hours, so presumably in these 12 hours they were married. So she fully married a venified Xaden.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah.
I wonder what that means though.
Me too.
For Tyrandor.
Yeah. Okay, so final thoughts.
You want me to go first?
Whatever you want.
Okay, I'll go first. I feel like you were talking a lot right now. So, obviously, WTF. Why in the heck did it end like that? I think you also had that feeling too. You were like...
No, I was...
wait. There's something that I was supposed to say at the beginning of the video, but I'm going to say it now. When I first, heard of Venom, tell me why I literally thought they ate the dragons. That was just, something in the back of my mind. I was like...
Honestly, that tracks, though, because, they want to take power, but, how much more power would you give her?
Yeah. I really thought that they
really
ate them.
So.
So, I don't know. That was my first thought, but... Also, where did he go? Like, where did Zayden go?
Yeah.
And how long is he gonna be there?
2
Because he's
years.
gotta come back.
Yeah.
You don't
No,
think this whole
totally.
next book is gonna be her alone?
No, because you know what? Rebecca Yara said in an interview, there is no story without Zayden.
Okay.
I have
Okay.
faith.
Slay.
Yeah. I was just really thrown for a loop because I finished this like I think it came out Tuesday, I finished it like Thursday.
Yeah.
Um and it's currently Tuesday. So it's been a week.
It's
It's only been
been a
a
week
week.
since it's come out.
I was just in such a what the heck moment. And then I was like, well, what did Imogen do? I was like, okay, I know what Imogen did. She took her memory.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh my god, do I really need to wait till 2027 for this? And then I was like, is Garrick okay? Or is Imogen's heart going to be broken more?
Yeah, because you said Garrick was
Garrick is
missing.
missing because in the book it says Lieutenant Tavis, which Garrick's last name, is amongst the missing.
Also,
Yeah.
why did it look like? Why did this scene give like Violet was drugged? Like that's what it was giving.
And then, um, no, like, obviously I'm still thrown for a loop. Like, look at me.
I think I was through every book,
Yeah.
but this one hit the hardest.
This one, in some ways, it hit hard, and then other ways it didn't. Because, like, I'm pretty desensitized to the death at this point. Like, unless it's a character I truly, truly love. Like, I did not feel much when the Queen of Cornmeal died.
Oh, I didn't either.
I didn't.
Because there was no background behind it, like we didn't have the story of her.
Right. And when that cadet who channeled died, was it sudden? Was it abrupt? Yes. But like
it didn't make me stop reading.
Else? Yeah. So I think in that sense, yes, but then there were other moments where it's like you build to love these characters so much and then you're like when Taryn knocked out and Violet couldn't feel anything.
I literally
I stopped
thought
for a second.
He was dead. I was like,
in,
where does this story go forward without Taryn?
No, literally. I was like, that early? God damn.
Yeah.
Is Sigil okay? And then, another thing I thought, Quinn's death was so unnecessary. That hurt so much.
What, quote the interview that you were talking to me about off camera.
Oh, yeah. So Rebecca Yaros did an interview. She's done several where she stated, when a character has no more growth left, that's when they die. So, like, Liam Mari, he was perfect from the start. And if you have perfect characters, you don't have much of a story. So she got rid of him. And I'm assuming Quinn reached this point where
she wasn't like a pivotal moment in the story, and
but this was a pivotal moment for Imogen.
Yes.
And so that's where the growth comes in, is that Quinn had nowhere else she can go, but Imogen still does.
Yeah.
Which gives me hope that Imogen will survive this series, or at least the next book.
But she has to now. She just wiped Violet.
But I don't know if she can give back memories. She takes them. I don't know if she can give them.
I don't know. I don't think we really talked about her second signet either.
No, it's revealed in the stretch of chapters that
Quinn dies.
Quinn dies.
Yeah.
The easiest way I can explain it is that she is basically an earthbender. Like, she can mold the earth to whatever.
She turned like a metal shield into stone.
Yeah.
As the example, but I don't know exactly what that's called.
Me neither.
But
yeah, I don't know what it's called in this setting, but the easiest way I can describe it is as earthbending.
Yeah.
But or I don't know if it's necessarily earthbending or like just like element changing.
Yeah.
But yeah. And then
it's something.
Halden definitely still has feelings for Violet, but Violet definitely has questionable taste in men. Halden,
Dane.
I will still say Xaden because let's be honest, at the start of this he wanted to kill her. And now he may want to kill her again.
Yeah.
Um
And also, who the hell marries a woman to wipe her memory after? Like,
Xaden Ryerson.
okay.
But also like moments in the book where I was like, ooh, Sloane and Dane.
Yeah.
Because there's earlier in the chapters, Sloane's being all, you know, she's being Sloane, and she's like, she hits him at one point, and he just takes it, and then he stops her, and then he's like, go to formation. That's it. He's your wing leader. What? And I know she might just have like a greater like, you know, more leeway because Liam was her brother, and Liam is dead because of actions Dane took in the first book. So it might just be that. But then also when they're saving Mira, he goes, eyes up here.
Yeah.
And then he's like, this is what you're going to do. And Sloane's like, hesitant. I'm going to hurt you. And the way I read it, it's like a, gods don't I know it. Like it's a flirty,
Yeah.
like
That's how I took
read
it
it.
too.
Not like gods don't I know it. Like, and then also Mira and Drake.
Broccoli.
Broccoli. Who gets custody of Broccoli? I know it's technically Drake's, but like Mira was carrying him for a while. Is that like, is he Carrot when Mira has him?
No, it's just broccoli.
Broccoli. Yeah.
Well, especially because if something were to happen to Drake, I'm sure Mira would keep calling it broccoli.
I don't want Drake to die yet.
I'm just saying.
Like, also, no, just
unpredictable.
It's unpredictable. It truly is. But I really, because in Iron Flame, Serena says to Mira that like she's Drake's type. Like he's into people who could kill him.
Is that a foreshadow?
Is Mira gonna kill Drake? Or are they gonna get together?
You know what? This goes right into our next topic.
What?
Theories. I have none. My brain is so confused, but Izzy has a couple.
So the big one, I try to stay away from a lot of the theory videos that are already out because I wanted this to kind of be my raw, like,
organic
thoughts. But all I could think about while I was reading the books is that the Isle Kingdoms are described to have a lack of color. I think it's because in the last war with the Venin, they were on the Isle Kingdoms and they drained it so much, and the earth is finally kind of healing itself. So the color is returning, but there's no like noticeable power because it's healing. There's nothing extra it can give. Versus places like was it the Isle of Zenal that had? Yeah, the Isle of Zenal that had they could feel the power, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like that's a place where it wasn't maybe drained as much, or it just wasn't drained.
Or they have more people of power there.
Yeah, but I really think that the lack of color in the Isles is due to the Venin's past presence because, you know, whenever anyone channels, there's a lack of color.
That is a good theory.
Thank you.
I would have never thought of that. It also kind of trips me out that there's even Isles without magic. Like, to me, it was just a book about magic. Like, a book with magic in it everywhere through and through. To see that there's Isles that don't have it is kind of insane.
Yeah, when I heard that they don't have magic, I was like, oh, they just don't have a conduit in which they can channel through. Yeah. That's not venifying themselves.
I also really want to see the Irid's Den.
I really want to too.
I want to hear about it.
How many dragons do they have? How many?
Is there going to be a revolution within the dragons? Sorry, I totally cut you off.
No, that's a good one. That's a good one. That's a good one. I mean, on the topic of revolutions or rebellions, there's 6 dragon heads missing.
Yeah.
Is Xaden still trying to lead the rebellion? Because when they were in Umbriel, remember, they wanted dragons. Did he take the dragon eggs? There's 6.
Well, they asked for 12.
They asked for 12, but I'm assuming, here's the thing. There's 6 dragon eggs. They know of 6 dens, right? Yeah. So they take the dragon eggs because they wanted 12 dragons. The dragons already come like with their own thoughts, with their own whatever. If they have dragon eggs, they're much more moldable.
Like malleable?
Yeah. into whatever this society wants them to be. So I think maybe Xaden took them and might be trying to trade for more aid in the Navarian cause, even though he is a Venom now.
Or he's still truly trying to find a cure.
Yeah, because I mean, one thing that Brennan had told Violet was that he's trying to figure out a way to put the magic back into the earth where he channeled. So I'm not gonna lie, I did see this one theory video. It's probably on my phone still. That Sloane is the answer, that she can draw the excess from a venom and put it back into the earth.
That would be sick.
Yeah, I really wish my phone wasn't all the way over there.
You know how cool that would be though, for like us to start with Liam and like be all depresso espresso about him dying, and then his sister to be the answer to the cure.
That would be crazy, and I wish that was my thought. I really wish that was my theory, but it isn't. It isn't, and I'm being so clear. It is not my theory.
Transparency is key here.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the one that stuck out to me, because that was like the one I saw where I couldn't get away from it because it was all text and I read fast.
Yeah.
So I was just like, oh,
in my face.
Oh, darn it. And then what do I want for the next book? You know what I do want? A novella about Mira and Drake, or Sloane and Dane.
Yeah. I think I talked about this earlier. I wanted a novella about, or maybe not even a novella, maybe a whole series about their parents.
Oh, we were talking about
because
this earlier.
we don't like, we get a little bit of information, but we don't really know the relationship between the two parents. It's kind of like they're missing figures.
Well, not only that, like, Fen Ryerson was an aristocrat, but he was also in the infantry.
Yeah.
Like, their paths definitely crossed. Like, what if there's like a time in history where there's a little Xaden and a little Violet, and Violet's like hiding because she's scared, and Xaden's like, what a weirdo.
I really also want to hear how Violet grew up, because hearing her story and hearing like Mira's story, two completely different stories
of the same stuff.
Yeah, it's trippy.
It is. But yeah, I agree with that. I want like a prequel series.
Like, I think this could be so much bigger.
About the rebellion. Yeah. Yeah, because like, also, you know, Liam is such a sweet character. What were his parents like?
Yeah.
You know, what were Imogen's mom and sister like? Because Katrina's bossy, but just how far does it go?
I think I was talking to you about this like after the first book. I was like, okay, I hear Violet. I want to hear about Xaden's life. Like, I want to see Xaden's perspective of this. And then in a couple of books, like, it gave other perspectives. Like, it'd be like Xaden, and then it was how he thought of it. I want a whole book of what he's thinking, what he's going, especially like now, going through what he's going through right now.
Oh, definitely.
That would be crazy.
It would be. I think
we're asking a lot though.
Yeah, because like,
books take time.
Books take time. Rebecca Yarros in an interview stated she's gonna write a contemporary before she writes the next book of this.
Yeah.
She did state she already knows where the series is ending.
I don't want it to end.
Me neither.
She can drag it on forever and I'd still buy the book. Like, for real.
Yeah. No, this, I mean, it's not a literary masterpiece, but it got me back into reading.
You know what? I think it's a great gateway.
It is.
To getting into fantasy, because starting off with books like ACOTAR series and even like Throne of Glass, those are the only ones that I can reference because those are the only ones I started reading. But like, those are quite dense and a little like hard to understand, and these are kind of more simple on the mind, I would say. Like, they're less like loopholes. Like, there's definitely foreshadowing.
Yeah.
But for me, it was easier to get into this, and the story clicked. Okay. Well, anyways, what I was saying was, Fourth Ring is a great series to get started on reading fantasy, because I really enjoy it, and there's just enough spice to where I'm still intrigued, because I'm a romance girl. Like, yeah. Those are my books, so.
For me, I grew up reading Harry Potter and Percy Jackson. And then I just stopped reading because, like, high school got hectic. And then I went into college and I was like, oh, I have no time for this. I make time now.
Yeah.
But
it's like, it made me how I do with sleep. Like, oh, I need 8 hours of sleep? Oh, yeah, but I gotta read, so, like, school can wait.
Literally. But, it made me feel like I was reading Percy Jackson again, like that book specifically, because Percy Jackson was like my favorite.
I couldn't even like get through the first book of Percy Jackson, so.
I love him.
But I also like, I was young.
I read the Percy Jackson series. I read the Kane Chronicles, and then by the time the his Rick Riordan series on Riordan, I almost said Ryerson. By the time Rick Riordan's book about Norse mythology came out, I was just kind of a little bit out of that age range, and I had stopped reading at that point. So I fully intend to go back and read the Magnus Chase series and the Trials of Apollo. But this got me back into reading because I had books that I wanted to read, but I was like, I don't have time. And after I read this book, I finally finished Throne of Glass because I had stopped reading at like Heir of Fire, where it gets so good.
You're like, why did I stop?
No, literally, why did I stop? Because after I started, like, I picked that back up. I read, like, especially during finals, during our junior year, going into Christmas break, I read Queen of Shadow. I finished Heir of Fire. And this is like off of it because I read Fourth Wing in over that summer. So then I had reread Beneath the Scarlet Sky, and that's a historical fiction book, and it's really good. Really, really good. I picked up that book because apparently Tom Holland was going to play the main character, but never came to fruition.
Damn.
But I had read that book, and then I ran through the rest of the Throne of Glass series I had. I don't know why I put it down because it gets so good.
Yeah.
It's just like the first 3 books are really setting it up. And then since I finished Throne of Glass, I finished ACOTAR, I've read a lot of books, and I keep buying more books. So
I have a whole box.
We actually just put up
books.
bookshelves in my bedroom.
Yeah, they're really cute.
Thanks, Dad.
I want some, but it's an apartment and we're moving out, so it's like not worth it to drill into the wall. Unfortunately.
Yeah, I am thankful that I can still live at home. And that my dad did that for me, so thanks. But yeah, I love this book. I love that it makes me feel kind of like I'm a little kid again, and I'm like, oh my god, like
for real.
That's what I love in a book is when I can just kind of forget myself in it, and that's why I read so much fantasy. I don't want to read about the real world.
Fair.
No,
I agree with that. Also, I like reading romance. I don't know why. It's just like you get to see another fake relationship, like it's not your own. Because like I've been with the same guy forever, so it's like I'm so comfortable with him. Like it's just like, hey babe, how was your day? Okay, and then you make dinner together, and like it's the same thing every day. It's like Groundhog's Day. I still love him so much, but reading like romance and like those kind of things, especially this book, like
I don't know. I think it sets my expectations impossibly high. Because I'm like, Zayden turned Venifer. Yeah, I feel like especially after reading Throne of Glass, my expectations of a guy are so incredibly high.
Okay.
I need to come back down to earth.
Well, I think that pretty much covers this episode.
This does.
And guys, we whipped this out so fast.
I don't think you realize that Jackie has never finished a book that fast.
I finished it in 5 days. And there's 527 pages.
No, that's a feat for you.
No, literally. I mean, I did use Audible.
That's not cheating.
But I also think I literally have dyslexia when I'm reading. Which is kind of trippy.
Maybe you should go see the optometrist.
I should. I need to. But like, it wasn't a thought until I started like really struggling with this book on my own that I like got the Audible and I was like, damn, I am flying through this book. But
cool, wow. I actually got glasses, as you can see on my head, and I started reading even faster when I got the glasses.
My glasses hurt my eyes.
Again, optometrist.
Okay, well, thank you guys for joining us on this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys want more book reviews of special books, you should definitely let us know because although this is a fantasy one, I'm open to reading anything.
Yeah, I really want to broaden my
Yeah.
horizons.
And we want you guys to enjoy what you guys are listening to. So if you have a book that's coming out soon or a book that you've had that you want to review on, leave it in the comments. And we also want to hear your guys' theories
Yes,
and
please,
how
because
you guys felt after the book.
I am finally gonna watch all of the theory videos I've saved.
The funny thing is, you invaded my Instagram because I didn't have anything Zayden, Violet, Onyx Storm, nothing until you started sending me stuff. Then it started popping up, so I had to stop.
My favorite is a TikTok I just showed her during one of our breaks. So he's a bit of a fixer in reference to Violet, and this is Zayden talking to his dragons and Taryn and Andarna. So he's a bit of a fixer upper. That's a minor thing. And then and then Andarna's voice is and by the way, I don't see no ring. It's so high pitched and cute, and it's just so funny. But yeah, if you guys, I want to hear everything you guys have to say.
Yeah.
Everything.
And you best believe Izzy's gonna know everything you write in those comments because I will be like, oh my god, Izzy, look what they said. Oh my god, Izzy, look. But
I thought you were gonna say because I'm lurking in the comments.
You probably will be too.
I will be.
Which is totally fine. But like I said, please give us recommendations because I know that you want to do the Throne of Glass series.
I just want to hear your thoughts on it because one, I read it a while ago, and I haven't. It's a big beast of a series.
Yeah.
And it's more high fantasy than ACOTAR or Fourth Wing Empyrean series.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get spice until the later books, but it doesn't need it. It didn't need it. It didn't need it. I love that series, but like I said, I definitely want to branch out of fantasy because I know there's so many good books out there, and my bookshelves are looking a little one-dimensional.
Yeah, you're a big fantasy gal.
I am.
It's okay. We'll figure it out.
We'll
you guys
see.
got us, right? Help some girls out. But
help us.
Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys like this video, don't forget to leave a like, comment any of your theories or your thought processes while you're reading this book or books that you want to see in the book reviews. And don't forget to subscribe to make sure you get the notifications.
Woo woo.
Bye!
Bye!